I've got my ski coat, which is actually really good for cold weather and terrible for wet weather. A nice cozy hat. I've got a packed lunch, an umbrella, which is kind of pointless because it just folds out when it's windy on the coast. Clipboard, a sketchbook, and I've got some chocolate biscuits for energy. I'm looking forward to building some sandcastles or something by the looks of all these shovels and tools. I'm Emily. I'm a master's student in landscape architecture. We're on a 2-day workshop with LDA Design, who've done amazing work with under-threat coastal cities. We're off to Spurn Point, a peninsula near Hull on the east coast of England. Like Venice, New York and Alexandria, Hull is a coastal city which is likely to be reshaped by rising sea levels in the future. So this will help us boost our employability. And it's also an example of the university's sustainability education, as announced by the VC a while ago.
We will be embedding education for sustainable development into the curriculum of every single course we offer in this university.
I really like the chance to go and look at a new city because I've never been to Hull before. It could be underwater by 2100 at the rate of sea level rising that's currently happening. So this is what's at stake, basically. Cities underwater.
So I'm stood here in the Viz Centre here at Spurn Head Nature Reserve. Every couple of years I would be stood in a metre of floodwater as a result of water coming from the sea and water coming from the river, which is a pretty terrifying prospect.
It is beautiful out here, but it is so windy. We're just told about the tidal surges that recently actually broke through into the nature reserve. So this is a really dynamic, changing landscape, and that's what we're basically addressing today.
As everyone struggles down onto the beach, you can quite clearly see how easily erodible it is by the sea here. So any rise in sea levels is going to be pretty drastically felt by the local area here.
The first task we were set was to model a new design for Hull out of sand. So that's what the buckets and spades are for. The idea here is to get us working creatively with the action of the sea, get hands-on with natural material, and experiment with different design ideas. As landscape architects, this is exactly the kind of thing that we're going to have to be tackling in our career going forward. So actually getting out here and testing out some solutions is fantastic. Even if you're not a landscape architect, this is probably a problem that most of us are going to face in our lifetimes, or if not our children's lifetimes. It really is a pressing issue now. You have to tell us if the sea's coming.
So here's Hull, and we've got our sea walls and our levees bounding the city. We've got our big main sea wall topped with vegetation for massive biodiversity benefit. And here comes the sea. It's all right keeping the water out, but then when it gets in, if it gets trapped, not much left of our city. Oh dear. The waves are crashing through our cities. Although it looks like we're just having a bit of fun here on the beach, there's definitely a much more important message. Essentially, we are modelling like sea level rise, and we're in a place that is at the front line of climate change. Spurn Head is potentially going to be Britain's newest island within not very much time. Oh, excuse me, while I get up this hill. And looking around, you can see how fragile this spit is.
I think they've done the best job really, because it's still standing, and that is exactly what they were going for originally. But every now and then it does flood entirely. It's made me think about just how quickly we have to work when we're working with water and when we're working with a really dynamic changing landform. It's going to be really difficult coming up with solutions that will both work and be attractive and lovely to live in, and will be robust and sustainable and survive into the future. So we're working with a really difficult material here, a really difficult task and a really difficult challenge, but a really exciting one as well.
So the sun's setting on our first day here at Spurn Head. I think we're going to go to the studio tomorrow and bash these out into proper strategies and present to the external practice that are here and see what they've got to say. And hopefully they might have something to learn from us as well.
working with the challenge at the moment of seeing what's naturally happening with the water and trying to work with that. So our overall strategy at the moment seems to be veering on the retreat side, but by retreating actually we are creating some new land.
We're focusing on the wider sort of city region of Hull, and we've basically decided like a phased strategy of a bit of regroup, a bit of retreat and a bit of repel, and we're going to create a new settlement called Hull upon the Hill. The experience of yesterday has meant everything feels a bit more real. It's not just like abstract place on a map, like this is a real coastline, real people's homes are falling into the sea.
I'm looking at which parts of the land form are low and which parts will retreat into, creating this kind of waveform of land that will be coming out into the sea. We're going to allow some of the farmland to become wetland. We're basically redirecting the energy of the sea.
I think landscape architects, because they understand natural processes and the things that happen, but they also understand issues in relation to design, I think gives them a unique perspective on the sort of scale of response that's needed to climate change, which of course is going to be on a significant scale. We know that. So actually people who are comfortable at working at scale are really going to be the people that are going to be valued and important as we go forward for future generations.
Just preparing for the presentation now, trying to make it, bring everything together into like a coherent message and a nice packaged vision. So it's been really nice to get a little prize and to have like our boldness of vision sort of recognised. I think that's what LDA were looking for. We need to think big and we need to go beyond what has ever been done before.
I was so nervous. I thought my presentation was a little bit shaky. What I've really loved about this is working as a team, finding connections between different ideas. So it's really great that that's going to feed into my career in the future.